County School District Board of Trustees to order. We'll start with item 1.01, the Pledge of Allegiance. If you all stand and please follow me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Item 1.02 is order and approval of the agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
I'm going to go down here and down here. We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion passes. Forgive me, y'all. I have the wrong agenda. It got to a student board member, and I knew I was in the wrong place. Actually, it's going to be a Teacher of the Year. Item 1.03 is recognition of 2026 Elko County School District Teacher of the Year, Abigail Parkin. Mr. Anderson?
It's me. Yes, thank you. Abigail Parkin, hello. Thanks for joining us today. Would you stand up and come forward, please? Up here. Yep, you get to stay in front and center. There you go.
It separates you from the crowd.
Yes. Everybody, this is Abigail Parkin. She is our EL teacher at Northside Elementary, one of our wonderful elementary schools in Elko. And Ms. Parkin was the Teacher of the Year for her school, and as such was put into the running for Teacher of the Year for the whole district. And after much deliberation, she was selected for that honor this year. And I'd love to read for you the nomination that was submitted by her principal. And my understanding, it was collectively worked. I mean, he submitted it, but collectively put together by other staff at the campus. So this is what they said. Abigail Parkin is a dedicated educator who exemplifies what it means to go above and beyond for students, staff, and the entire Northside community. Serving as a leader within the school, she wears many hats, supporting instructional programs, organizing school-wide initiatives, and consistently stepping up wherever she is needed most. Her impact extends far beyond her classroom as she plays a vital role in office projects, PTA involvement, and the coordination of major student events. A driving force behind Northside's house system, Abigail has helped create a strong sense of belonging and community among students and staff. Through her leadership of house meetings, assemblies, and incentive programs, she fosters school pride, collaboration, and positive student engagement. Her enthusiasm is contagious. Her energy at events inspires students to fully participate and connect with one another in meaningful ways. In the classroom, Abigail is equally impactful. As an ESL specialist, she is deeply committed to ensuring all students, particularly English language learners, receive the support they need to succeed. She utilizes small group instruction and targeted strategies to meet individual learning goals while also sharing effective practices with colleagues to strengthen instruction school-wide. She creates a positive, inclusive environment where every student feels valued and supported. Known for her genuine kindness, warm demeanor, and ever-present smile, she builds strong relationships with students and staff alike. Students are eager to work with her, and her colleagues appreciate her willingness to lend a hand and collaborate. Abigail's dedication, compassion, and leadership have made a lasting impact on Northside. She is not only an exceptional educator, but also a cornerstone of the school's culture, bringing people together, uplifting those around her, and continually working to make Northside a better place for all. And these are all true things. One of the things I love about Abigail, too, is in the last few years, there have been multiple STARS recipients at Northside, among those the principal. I don't think I ever did anyone look more happy for STARS recipients to be winning a STARS award than Ms. Parkin. She was so excited for all of them. She's such a positive influence around the school, and just great to be around and very. Yes, yeah, the time that Mr. Revere won the award, I had to come up with a plan for how to get him to make an assembly for his own award, and she helped me do that. Just overall an incredible educator, and really grateful for her impact both at the school level, the district level, and just also a pretty nice person overall. So just Congratulations, Abigail.
Thank you very much. I am very privileged to work at Northside. Northside is such an amazing school. Great leadership, great staff, great students, great parents. I'm sure you can find it all across North Elko County, but I just super, super love the community that we built and the love that we have for each other. I think that's what makes me a wonderful teacher, is everyone I'm surrounded by. So, thank you.
Thank you.
You guys in trouble. You're shaking. You're in trouble. That's good.
Thank you so much. All right, moving on now to item 1.04, that's input from the public. This is a period devoted to comments by the general public, if any. In the interest of privacy and due process, the public is requested to not raise personal issues, except in a legally noticed closed personnel session of the board. Comments are limited to 3 consecutive minutes. The speaker's time may not be reserved, divided, apportioned, or deferred. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been included specifically on an agenda as an item upon which action will be taken. Do we have any public comment? All right, hearing none. I know we have some for 4.03. Or at least something to read in, so I've got that written down. We'll move on to item 2 is the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, motion to approve and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I would like to pull out the meeting minutes, please. My comments on the test performance is not even on there. I'd like to get that added. And then I'd like to have my comment during board comments changed to what I had said to be a policy attached to the attendance of attending test, not just the performance of.
Okay, well, I'll pull that out and then I'll make sure we got that. Is there any other discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, and that passes. And now we'll move to item 2.01. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that? Or?
No, just those two. It was just, my comment to the extent that everyone else's comments were. I know mine wasn't necessarily positive, but it was, I believe it was worthwhile. It needs to be on the record there. And then the other one was just so that it's very specific. It wasn't about attaching a policy to teachers' performance through the students' tests. It was attaching students not being at those tests.
Okay.
So it was just, if you add, well, there's one word that can be added to it, I'm sure, as opposed to a whole new thing, but, and hopefully it's on that. We record them, so hopefully we can find that, but.
And just to double check, so to approve this, we would have a motion to pass that along with Josh's comments? Or, I mean, with the added, how would you suggest we structure this?
I would think that given that it would be more than just a slight change in wording, we'd probably have to add a bunch. We should probably just pull that one entirely and we'll bring those minutes back for the next one.
Okay, do we need to take action on that? As far as doing that, or just leave it
No,
alone?
I think you've removed it from the
Okay.
rest of it at this point, so we approve the ones that are not removed, and then that one just stays unapproved for today.
All right, and then we'll look at that at the next meeting. Does that work? Okay, thank you. All right, moving on now to item 3.01, the accounts payable.
Move to approve the accounts payable.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion or disclosures?
I'll disclose that I have a family member who works for Wells Rural Electric, but I will not be abstaining.
I'll also disclose I have a family member on here, but I will not be abstaining as well.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion passes. All right, on to item 4.01, that's receipt, review, and possible approval of the Great Basin College dual credit course list for school year 2026-2027.
All right, I'll
Mr.
jump in
Anderson.
here. Yeah, thank you. To help me out with this one today, should there be additional questions, I've got Carrie Meisner from GBC who's going to join us. She's the director of Learning Commons over there. And so this is an action that we bring before you to, just so you're aware of and can approve this list of it's 6 to 7 pages of dual credit courses that are offered. through GBC. Some of them are a little more commonly taken than others, but they are all available options. And I think this many courses does a good job of highlighting the great partnership we have with GBC and the positive direction that this program's been going. You'll probably remember that under Pillar 1 of Students Prepared for the Future, one of those actions is to expand CTE pathways and dual credit and AP course offerings. And this list represents an increase in course offerings. We also have increased numbers of participation and a little bit of a coalescing actually of CTE pathways with dual credit offerings where you get to a certain point in your CTE pathway and have the option to take dual credit classes to expand upon that CTE pathway. So a lot of good things happening there, but that's the list. And if you have any specific questions about any courses or pathways, we'd be happy to try to answer those for you.
Does she have a list of how many students participate in each of those classes?
In each class individually, no, but total
Sorry.
students enrolled.
And if you could, please make sure the green light there is on there on that microphone for our online folks.
Okay. I don't have the number in each of the classes, but I do have enrollment numbers for fall 26, if you'd like to learn about those.
And it doesn't have to be, I was just curious if we knew how many people are taking each of those courses that is available to them.
I don't have that data at the time. We do separate that out in the fall for Emily and CJ based on English and history classes that are paid for through the district or a grant. But I can get those to you
Sure.
in a follow-up if you'd
That would be
like me
great.
to.
Thanks.
Okay, yep.
And so these are the newest numbers we have for the fall. Is there still time for students to continue to enroll in those before the fall?
Yes, normally some of the schools in the district have a cutoff date, but other schools allow enrollment to trickle in. Additionally, we'll have concurrent enrollment classes enrolling during the first initial weeks of the fall semester. So we have concurrent enrollment classes at Elko, Wells, and Carlin in the fall. So we'll get additional enrollment then.
So the enrollment into these classes at the college can be
The-
based on the site specific? So Elko High School can have it different than Spring Creek High School?
So most of our courses are offered online, so anybody within the district can take those courses. There are several course offerings that are taught by qualified high school instructors on campus. And so those courses are taking place in Elko, Wells, and Carlin this year.
So that would be the only place that there, which makes sense because it's on the actual campus then. But then if it's online or at your campus, there shouldn't be, do the sites still do they still dictate time of enrollment? So you're saying, here, I'll just go even high. So I'm getting feedback that kids are not allowed to enroll in this. The usual pushback from the district side or from a site side is that it's past the date that you can do it. And so I'm trying to understand who is dictating the date, and is it specific? We're saying specific to the site, but you're also saying it can be specific to your site as well.
So GBC does not care when the students enroll. We do not have a deadline up until the end of the first week of the semester.
Okay.
So it is not a deadline imposed by GBC.
Perfect. I'm just trying to figure it out. So when a student comes to me, I can say, well, you can go this route, and they already have, then they just want to understand at that point, so.
Yep,
Thank you.
you bet.
Anything further from the board? Any questions?
No question. I just want to say thank you very much for putting this together. I think any opportunity we have for our students to be able to pick up higher education credits is terrific, and vice versa. If they can take a college credit and a college course and be able to pick up some K-12 credit, then that's terrific. So I appreciate your effort as well as the effort of the district staff that got to put this together. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. And if any of you ever have any questions about dual credit, please reach out. I'm always happy to help and provide clarification.
I just had one procedural, not for you, I'm so sorry. What are we approving? I'm just, like if we just,
The course list.
so is that a requirement that we approve the course list? I'm just for procedural.
Yes. NDE requires, I think it's NDE anyway. It's required that this is approved by our Board of Trustees.
Yeah, so I'm just, as I continue through this role, I'm just trying to understand what is the requirement and where is it required, so, thank you.
Move to approve the Gray Basin College dual credit course list for school year 26-27.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, and motion passes. And thank you for joining us this evening. We appreciate it. And that's a great list of classes. It's nice to see that wide of a array of classes we can offer. Moving on now to item 4.02, nursing update. From our school nurse coordinator, Skylar Basnes? Basanias, I'm sorry.
Yep, nope, that's
Thank
it's a
you.
rough one. I think RJ is getting us set and going here. So we're gonna have an update for the school year, for the 25-26 school year from the health services. Where do I have to point? Hillary? Okay, that's why. Thank you, guys. So a quick overview, we're going to go over some health office data. We're going to talk about how the Elko County School District Health Services aligns with the Elko County School District Strategic Plan. We'll look at the 26-27 school year focuses and how you all can also help advocate. This is an overview of chronic health conditions within Elko County School District. So you can see some of our majors there with diabetes, life-threatening allergies, asthma, seizures, cardiac conditions. Those others, there's not enough of those to group into a specific category, so that is why there are others there. I believe in your presentation notes you may be able to see some of those additional. For this school year, we saw on our campuses 27,432 illness and injury visits. Those don't include like previous injuries, other things that happen at home. Those are things that are occurring at the time on our school campuses. I do, before we keep going, because it bothered me once I caught it, but I transposed some numbers on the medical procedure total today. The 9 and the 7 should have been flip-flopped, so there's bad math there. When reviewed our medications that have been administered, we administered 17,727 medications, performed a total of 8,947 procedures, and had follow-up communications over 12,000 times this year. Any questions on those?
How do you follow up with the families? Is it phone call, letter?
So these, I did not actually include any letters that were sent home in this data. These were phone calls related to health office visits. Could be communication or follow-up, communication with the families regarding if they had signed for their child to have standing order medication only with parental contact first, or if there was an incident in the health office that required us to encourage them to have additional follow-up, or just to be able to put some puzzle pieces together.
Okay, thank you.
How often are these, so these are not so it's 12,000 without duplicate, like, oh, hey, I got a voicemail, well, we gotta call them again, or is it 12,000, like, we gotta keep calling because I need to get this information from them?
That's 12,000, that probably is not including additional follow-up. We do have templates for those additional follow-up phone calls, and I did not pull that data.
Well, that's usually a phone call, right, okay.
These are our mandated screenings that were performed this year. So we had 5,561 vision screenings with just under 1,000 referrals, which is about 17% of our vision screenings that are being referred out that need glasses, or potential for glasses they need referred to see an optometrist. Of those, and we'll discuss this a little bit further later on, but we have identified about 40 students that could Also, we are having a barrier with our VSP vision vouchers, and about 40 students over the last 3 years, each year, have needed additional services with us. Hearing, we've done 4,483 of those screenings with a total of 38 referrals. With newborn hearing screenings taking place in hospitals, it's definitely reduced that number of referrals coming from schools. Scoliosis, 704 with 22 referrals, so still those smaller numbers there. Pediatric providers, it is still mandated by NRS that we do them in our schools, but pediatric providers are starting to do them at a younger age level, which is ideal. People are spending different time. We have different body postures. We aren't spending as much time being active, and so it's better to catch that scoliosis or symptoms thereof at an earlier age. And then we did 1,980 growth screenings there, and those don't get referred out. They are just collected data for the state.
Could you talk real quick about who is mandated? Because I'm curious about enrollment versus the numbers tested. Like obviously vision, we're looking at half of our student, more than half. Who is that's getting tested, or is it at certain grade levels? Or I'm just curious on those three and what the mandates actually are.
Yes. So they have to have at their first entry grade level into the school district. So depending on if that student has started at preschool or kindergarten, we don't differentiate between the two. So we do everybody that's in preschool and we do everybody that's in kindergarten. And then you have to have another elementary grade level beyond that. And so, sorry, I don't have my things right in front of me, but I can't remember if we have done second, or I believe we have third grade where we're doing that again. And then same thing again in our middle school and then at our high school level. And then there's also a caveat that if anybody had failed the year previous without follow-up, you have to do a vision screening for them as well. And anybody who's up for an evaluation for special education services.
Thank you.
Yep.
So the cost associated, we just absorb it, or we get some something from the state, or?
Well, with this, I mean, it's mandated by the state, but Elko County School District does participate in Medicaid billing for students. And because this is what they call an EDPSL service, we don't have to have a referring provider for that. And we do get reimbursement back for our screenings.
So we're being subsidized by the state through Medicaid,
Yes.
essentially? Okay.
Any further questions on these here? CPR training, we have 18 Elko County School District nurses, 4 health instructors, and 1 bus barn personnel that are AHA certified BLS instructors for CPR and first aid. We provided 83 Heart Saver and BLS classes this year with 297 certifications completed. We'll continue to work through this. There was the AB, I put a link there on the side, the AB 454 Smart Heart Law that was implemented for Nevada, which just puts greater focus on cardiac emergency response teams in schools.
Skylar, I apologize. The 297 certifications, are those staff, students, or a combination thereof?
That's a combination of all. I did not separate those out this time.
Thank you.
Yep. And we do have greater student interest in CPR. For that graduation requirement, they don't have to have certification, but we have some of those students that are in their CTE pathways that their classroom teachers are asking us to come in to provide the BLS for them as well. So this is just a quick quote here. Let's be honest about what we ask of school nurses. We place 1 clinician in a building or multiple buildings of hundreds of children, sometimes over 1,000, and expect them to be fully present for every emergency, every chronic condition, every mental health crisis, every medication, every mandatory screening, every student who just needs someone to talk to. We do this while offering them no clinical team, and in too many schools, no guarantee that they'll be there every single day. The goal, a school nurse present in every single school, every day, is still in 2026 a goal and not a given. And this is a quote by Robin Cogan. She's known as the relentless school nurse, and she just passed away on Saturday, but I had to share one of her quotes here, so.
That last line hits.
Yes, definitely. Oh, going backwards again. Now we're going to move along. How does health services align with the Elko County School District strategic plan? Pillar 1, everything kind of encompasses, I feel from health services side, that everything next that we'll discuss encompasses all of these pillars. I wanted to take focus on moving those into the portrait of a learner, as I know that's a focus for Elko County School District during the 26-27 school year. And so I wanted to look at how school nursing alignment correlates with portrait of a learner and competencies. So I won't review each of these, but there are some of these that I will kind of go over. But, you know, as a self-directed learner, school nurses work to develop student independence through self-management of chronic conditions, medication administration, and healthy lifestyle choices. And that starts from the time that our students are in kindergarten till the time that they're working for graduation preparation. We adjust our care and how much oversight and what they need from us based upon their independence levels. Collaborators. School nurses are partners with students, families, educators, healthcare providers, and community agencies to support student success. The resilient individual. School nurses provide support during illness, injury, trauma, grief, and mental health challenges while working with those students to build coping and problem-solving skills. Innovative problem solvers to help students identify barriers to learning and develop practical solutions to achieve academic and personal goals. Academic success, improving attendance reduces health-related barriers, reducing health-related barriers to learning, and increasing readiness to learn. That social emotional well-being, we support self-awareness, self-management, relationship skills, and emotional regulation. And then as we're moving forward in that college and career readiness, we want to work to build that health literacy, self-advocacy, and lifelong health management skills necessary for future success. So looking ahead at 2026-2027, some of the things we're looking at right now, we'll have increased caseloads on our Elko Elementary School campuses due to the 5th grade being absorbed back into there, which will also implement a need for me to develop professional development with our Elko County School District, or our Elko-based nurses, as that is something that they have not taught on that portion of their health lessons for those students. Due to decreased staffing, still working through early childhood and child find processes, as well as our NNVA, which is what my caseload was previous to taking on the school nurse coordinator role. We'll have a new nurse out at Spring Creek High School this coming year. Our previous nurse is on to new endeavors. And at that high school level, we'll be there pretty often with mentorship and support there. Our team wants to enhance concussion management, cardiac response planning, and emergency response teams on our campuses. We've seen, not a higher need, but just that need for collaboration and to get those teams really into place so that if something's happening or more than one thing's happening at a time, people know what to do and where to be. I want to encourage and promote health literacy through family engagement. I have a handout here for you guys, but caffeine in our youth is really an area of focus right now. It's not the everyday or the daily, but we are starting to see where our students are drinking 3 to 4 caffeine drinks in the morning, and then some of them may or may not choose to eat lunch, and then we've got headaches and other symptoms that we're really trying to work throughout the rest of the day. And when they're up and down and all over the place, you can't focus on school. So I'm going to work toward those vision vouchers. On one positive note, there was a time when the Medicaid went to the managed care systems where CareSource and Silver Summit did not have agreements with any of our local eye care providers. As of about 2 weeks ago, that has changed, and we do have some providers now taking both of those services, or both of those insurances. We want to continue to advocate for Medicaid expansion with those eligibilities within our schools. It helps potentially to bring funding into our schools for these programs. How can we get service-related providers for our students and their needs? And then, of course, continue to identify and reduce health barriers that impact chronic absenteeism in our district.
Skylar, before we go off of this page, I had 2 things. First, on the vision vouchers, I think I may have visited with you about the Elko Host Lions Club.
Yes.
They are very interested in trying to help where they can. So just want to make sure that we utilize that source to the extent that they can. And then I apologize, I should have asked this previously, but I caught the NNVA. So we're providing nursing for the virtual academy?
Somewhat, yes. I mean, we don't see students like on that side of thing, but the administrative side of things still have to happen. Immunization compliance, if, IEPs, those such, as well as homeschooled students, because the county we're also responsible for our homeschooled students if they request an evaluation.
Interesting.
For sure.
Okay.
Does that come at an additional cost to the district?
I do not have an answer to that question.
At the very least, that's the time that, and human resources to administer the exams and whatever goes to them. The child find does for sure. We have people here on Fridays that come and do that.
I'll put that on my list. I'm collecting unfunded mandates.
Yep.
That we have.
Do you know how many homeschool students you provide service to off the top of your head?
Oh, I don't actually off the top of my head. I know actually Colette and I were, she's a school psych that often is on some of those as well. We were talking last week, sitting down, counting our number of homeschooled because we hadn't implemented that data.
Be
for that
curious
one.
to know. And it's not really a question probably for you. With the caffeine in our youth, do all of the schools allow, like I know only because I see it at Elko High, drinks going in there, like Starbucks or whatever. Is that up to each school whether they allow things like that? Do you know?
If they allow kids to walk on
To
campus with a
bring in
drink in their
a
hand.
Starbucks or, whatever caffeinated drink, a Red Bull or whatever?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent, that would be up to the school on what is, are you allowed to walk around the halls or have drinks in class that are not water like that? That's going to be probably different from campus to campus.
And the only reason why I say that, it's funny because we're so worried about, do they have nutritious snacks and all that, but we let them bring in all that. Not saying I'm opposed to, like, I like my chai tea. But,
Like my coffee.
just on that factor, like, we're worried about those nutritious snacks, but we allow them to bring in all kinds of drinks and caffeinated and Red Bulls and Monster drinks and.
I don't know. I think that does get to be one of those tough situations where like we have the wellness policy and we aren't selling those caffeinated drinks on campus, but then you have like that parent and student choice of what I'm able to pack my child for lunch or not, or
Right.
what they grab. And then I feel like that's where we come in as like the middleman, like, here's your health education. Can we do better?
Yeah. There's a difference between what you allow to
Sure.
be sold on your campus
Yeah.
and what people just are able to bring.
I guess the question I would ask regarding that is how big of an issue do you think that is? You mentioned where you get kids spun out on 3 Monsters before lunch. How often are you seeing that? Is that a once in a while or is that a weekly, daily?
I would say, not large scale, but it's a daily thing that we're seeing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess especially where you have open campuses for lunch where kids can go get whatever they want. Yeah.
Well, you can, but I
for
remember-
a lot of those kids, that's what their lunch is. They walk to the
Yeah.
Maverick or
Walk
they
to the
go
store
to
and get it.
wherever and get an energy drink, and that's their lunch.
I remember back to high school, we were allowed at lunchtime, you could get vending machine, but you weren't, if you got caught with it in the hall, they'd take it away.
Yeah.
Of course, that was back in the Stone Age.
I'm the Stone Age.
And then just a few things, if you'd be willing, how you can advocate. There's a Support Nurses for Under-Resourced Schools Everywhere Act, and it was actually proposed by Dina Titus, one of the Nevada representatives, as well as Make Your Voices Heard, continuing to protect IDEA, the nursing workforce, and the Nursing Workforce Reauthorization Act. Those are at the national level. Some things at the state level. Nevada is in the center of all these states around us that are a part of the compact nurse licensure. And sometimes we have difficulty getting subs in our smaller communities, such as Wendover. And if the nurse from Utah was able to practice at the office in Nevada, we would potentially have greater option for substitute staffing as well. So that's one area. And then also, I don't have the name yet because this wasn't a bill that they pulled through on the education side of things, but we keep the epinephrine on campus for unknown life-threatening allergies. There has been a new form of that medication made that is a single-dose nasal spray instead of it being an injectable medication. Currently, Nevada law specifically says that schools are required to have the auto-injectable. So we are advocating, and there is an assemblyman that it's going to carry this bill through from the Clark County area to have the word auto-injectable removed from the bill. So, any questions?
Any questions from the board? I just want to go ahead. Yeah, that's what I was going to do. Just thank you for coming out. We hit you from left field out here on a couple questions. I appreciate you being prepared to answer, and we raised a couple concerns we want to look into. But thank you very much for your report.
Absolutely. Is it okay if I hand these out to you guys?
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm having a similar issue with my son. Talking to him and saying,
Me too.
one Dr. Pepper is enough for the day. I'm trying to set a good example too. I get one a day and he gets, well, we're working on it.
I've recently come across an article as well from a school resource officer publication that I share with all of our administrators and with you guys on the same topic.
Thank you. All right. We are on to item 4.03. That's the review, discussion, and possible consolidation and deletion of policy DDG, rentals, policy EBGCC, buildings and grounds management, leasing and renting, non-school use of facilities, rental fees to revise policy EBGB, building grounds and grounds management, leasing and renting of district-owned property. Mr. Anderson, maybe you can help me tell everyone I just said there.
Okay, so what that means, the meetings ago, I think, we started to look at some of these various policies that have to do with use of our facilities by non-school entities. And there was a request made of, couldn't we just consolidate these into one a little more succinct and, easier to understand policy. And so what this would do in a moment when we get to because there's 4 attachments, we're going to look at the one that's titled Consolidated, EBGB Consolidated. So if that is approved tonight, then DDG and EBGCC would also be deleted as part of the action. So we would get rid of 2 and the pertinent, important information from those, as well as the information from the previous version of EBGB would all go into this one new consolidated one. I'm not sure if that was any clearer than what you read, but we'd be deleting 2 and putting 3 policies into one. That's a less CJ way of saying it. All right, so anyway, EBGB consolidated. That has information, as I said, related from all 3 of those policies. So some of that information has not changed. A lot of what is pretty relevant, though, is this idea of a three-tiered charging structure, and that sort of, in a simplified explanation, means if you're a student in school-sponsored group, you'd be in Tier 1, where you're not going to get charged a rental fee. And you're likely not going to be charged a a supervision fee either, because, bless you, because typically those are supervised by people who are also district employees or being paid to supervise. And then the other 2 tiers, Tier 2 would be for a nonprofit or community organization, and we would determine whether or not an entity fits that description. They would be charged a fee, but to a lesser extent. And then your commercial, for-profit, athletic leagues, things like that, those would be charged the higher rate for the use of facilities. And most of the time, it's important to note that this isn't just a way to make money, but rather that it costs money for the usage of our facilities. Typically, there's almost always energy costs that are associated with it. There's use. There are custodians often that have to clean up after there are, and potentially supervision. We have Casey here who typically anytime anything's done at the Performing Arts Building, he's responsible for making sure if he's not there himself, he's got other people that are running things there for that. So there are just natural costs associated with utilizing the facilities. This topic came up as a result of when we were reviewing cost-saving measures for budgeting purposes. This was, if I remember correctly, this was an element that the board was very interested in us looking at revamping a little bit because prior to this, it was a lot of it was left up to there was some guidance, but there was sort of this catch-all of like, well, but the principal of the building can kind of decide what they're going to do. So less structured and a little more adaptive before. This would make it more prescriptive, which comes with guaranteed fees being charged. However, it also guarantees that certain people who used to not enjoy or used to enjoy not having fees charged to them now would. So this would make a blanket policy for the whole district. And I only say that last part because I know you've received some feedback from people from around the community. And yeah, so that's, I think, all I have for the moment. Happy to answer any questions or talk through anything with you.
I have a couple things, but I'll defer to the board first if anybody wants to start.
Mr. Chair, I'm just going to disclose that I work for a nonprofit. The nonprofit's job is to, or my job is to make as much money for the nonprofit as possible, and part of that is rental fees. So I have no intention of abstaining, but I did want to just disclose that that is part of my day job that I get paid for. I don't feel that this is a conflict, however. And with that, if I may, while I have the mic, yeah, I think there are some things that I hadn't really considered on what the impact would be for those communities that may not have a source for public access to athletic fields, et cetera. I'm not sure how it was done or how it's currently being done prior to us passing this. I could see an outside field perhaps being used with really it's open. It's a kind of a park thing. I could see that, but I don't know how we do that with basketball courts or other indoor facilities. I don't know what the solution is, but I have received some of those comments as well, and I recognize those. I'd like to hear, I guess, how that's being done currently, and if that might be something that would be able to be modified into the existing policy. And then I also have that comment, Mr. Chair, if you'd like, after the board's comments.
So if I can just answer that, the way it's been handled is the way the current policies allow it to be handled, and that is that people use their discretion, administrators at schools use their discretion based on their community, based on the needs, based on their interactions with those entities. Having served as the principal in Wells for a couple of years, that gym at the elementary school, multi-purpose room, I guess, was used frequently. The fields for Pee Wee football, there were no rental fees. I think the only rental fee I ever charged at any point was there was some political candidate that was coming to do something, and I can't remember exactly the details behind it, but it was other than that, as the principal, I never charged anyone from that community, any entity from that community who was a community serving entity. So I had that discretion to do that, and I know that other schools I've seen where even with a for-profit athletic league, for example, they may not charge them for the use of that building, but there was always an understanding with that entity that as part of using that facility, they were helping make an improvement to that building. They were fixing some bleachers, or they were installing some sort of a structure there to beautify or to amplify the facility. And so it was very much like a give and take relationship. This is sort of what I was alluding to when this topic first came up of, it was my opinion that our schools are meant to be centers of the community. And so as such, it doesn't feel like we're a center to the community if you have to pay to be there. It felt like, that was just, again, my opinion, having been being an educator and someone who works in schools. So yeah, there's going to be a give and take with that, where when you have something that's blanket like that, it applies to everybody. And so that applies to our smallest communities and to our biggest community, unless you want to get into the business of saying we are restrictive to this and to entities that reside within these zip codes or these towns, and everyone else can have their free-for-all, but that comes with its own equity issues and probably wouldn't be taken too kindly by other folks. So anyway, I think I'm typically someone who favors having policies that are less prescriptive and leave decisions to the judgment of people who exercise good judgment, which is why I sort of like the current method, but at the direction of the board, here's something that sort of could satisfy the other side of the perspective.
To that point, if I may, the board-approved fee structure, is that going to be cash only, or will there be an option for in-kind?
I think that I don't have a direct answer to that, but in my conversations with our CFO, it has been about dollar figures. There has not been anything regarding in-kind as a fee.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just as far as the costs associated with groups or organizations using our facilities, are those costs greater for indoor facilities versus outdoor facilities?
It's going to be greater for indoor, I would imagine, because indoor you've got the energy usage, you've got typically custodians that do have to do cleaning of not only the facility in use, but also the restrooms. And so there's going to be a little more there, whereas if it's a field and really you're just allowing for people to use the field. Again, to speak to the fee structure, because this has come up a couple times and it's within here, that fee structure is not part of this policy. The fee structure would be something that is developed separately and contingent upon whether or not this is even approved in the first place. But that's something that could be taken into account for.
And just to continue on to that, and you mentioned this, some of the smaller communities have no other spaces to do programs that keep kids active, keep kids involved. And so I do have a concern about charging fees that would limit communities from having, having opportunities for kids to be active and to be involved in the community.
And I might add to that too, the relationship is reciprocal. In some of those communities, we don't have a facility. Like, for example, in Wells, one of the fields for baseball, softball, like that's not our field. We share. Here in Elko, our baseball and softball teams play on community fields, right? So there's, that kind of symbiotic relationship there with sharing facilities. So I'm sure that'll come at a cost. If we're going to charge other people to use ours, they're probably going to charge us to use theirs.
That was actually my next question, because we do have obviously communities where, we use community facilities, the community uses our facilities, and I wonder if our hope to cover some costs with this, if we're going to end up kind of at a wash, because we're going to need to then pay a city or whatever to use their facilities, and then they'll pay to use ours, and we're not going to come out ahead at all. So I am concerned about, I can see some good things about consolidating this policy, but I am concerned that with the fee structure, especially in our smaller communities, but also potentially in our bigger communities, that we're not really going to come out ahead. I can totally see the benefit of if someone uses an indoor facility and there's janitorial staff that needs to be there, that they cover the cost of that janitorial staff. You know, there's some coverage of energy.
Some sort of overhead cost for, yeah.
Yeah, but I just don't want to get into an issue where each community is having to, you know, the city is now going to charge the school to use their baseball field, and we're going to charge the city or whatever entity to use our football fields. And so I just have a concern that it's going to be back and forth, and this may not financially benefit the district at all.
And I have some of the same concerns, and I know you say that the fee structure isn't part of this policy, but it's hard to look at this policy without, I mean, it mentions several times that it's a board-approved fee structure, so we don't know what that is, but it says we've approved it in these policies. So are we charging $300, or is it like a $20 fee? I mean, I don't even know what kind of fees are being thought of for any of these things. Like Teresa said, outdoors, but are they using a field that has lights, or do they even have lights? That would make a difference, I would assume. I don't know. I guess I think about the Fine Arts building, where you have more things that can go wrong, I guess, if you will, that will deteriorate, or just, you know, over time, a light or the seats, like those kind of things. I do think it's good to charge a small fee for community use. Also in the policy, like on number 6, the accidental death and dismemberment policy. So that's a separate policy that a group would have to have in addition to other insurance? And is that mandated by law to have? Because then it says, or a signed affidavit from each participant. So is that each participant that's sitting, for example, in the Fine Arts building, everybody that goes to an event that's sitting in a seat? Or is that just the people that are putting on the event? Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are. So this is, yeah, you're reading it correctly. Either the entity would need a policy for the group, or individuals would need to have their own. This is taken from one of the current, like this is already in policy right now. And so either they have to have something already, or we can direct them toward, but this is all at the advice of legal counsel, as well as our own insurance provider, that we not.
Well, of course, the insurance provider is going to say that. And that leads me to my question. Are we not covered otherwise? What did we just write $1.5 million check for?
I don't know the answer to that question.
And that, I guess I'll jump in here if that's all right. I do have issue with 6, and if that's current policy or transferred over, yeah, I'd like to look into that a little closer, because speaking in my community in Wendover, I know that's an excuse a lot of the time. They won't let kids practice baseball on the fields. It has to be organized, or they can't be there because they don't have insurance. And that, to me, is just not acceptable, because we're a government entity. We're supposed to be there for and something like that is a park. It's supposed to be open. It's not. So I want to, in going forward with this, make sure that this doesn't become something that's restrictive to other places and go on and say, well, we got to do all this. And even if not, there is a typo, I would believe, because on the about third sentence, it says, in addition, each participant must show proof of primary liability coverage in the amount of $1 million per occurrence. And I can't imagine that's intended that each participant, each little football player is going to have $1 million policy. So I think we need to, at the risk of stretching this out longer, I might want to see some more details on the insurance requirements.
Specifically?
What we have in place. And if we've already spent $1.5 million of the community's money on insurance, then I don't want to have to require it on top. I know what the lawyers and the insurance people are going to say, but they're in it to make money. We're in it to provide a place for our community.
And if we're already paying for it, then that should stand, in my humble opinion. The other one I had, since I'll just throw it out there, was number 2. That's a fun one. What about the county? But what I would suggest is we modify that to say anything illegal. I would hate to have it limited to just, we can't overthrow the United States government, we can't overthrow the Nevada state government, but the county's open, we can go after the Elko City. I would say anything illegal, whether it's overthrowing a government or maybe, plotting a crime or whatever, anything. It should be
at
a
that
blanket
point, is anyone
statement there.
really going to care what our policy says, though? I'm
No,
playing
no,
devil's advocate. Playing devil's advocate.
But the comedy of it is beautiful, and I don't want to have that in a policy that we all approve.
I get it.
I want to put the county commission at ease here,
I'm sure they were real
at
worried.
least as much as we can.
Is $25K for death and dismemberment enough? I mean, have we looked at it? Has our insurance, you're saying this is based on the previous policy, which was looked at our insurance, but did we run it by them prior to putting it back onto this policy?
We're just
I
consolidating
just don't know,
over.
I just don't know that it's enough based on current amounts that we have for things like emergencies.
I think that was relatively recent, though. I think, I'll look back at it, but I think this was part of, just from like about a year ago or so that we.
If they say we're covered with that and the mill, then that's fine, but I also agree with Jeff that per participant seems like it might need to be a different verbiage there. I don't, since I have the mic, I thought the purpose of this was to recoup costs associated with. In talking with other community leaders, we don't have to be first strike on this, but I have a sneaky suspicion based on talking with others that we will be having this conversation again in the near future because everybody is suffering financially and everyone has costs associated with it and they're going to want to recoup it. So I'm not saying we need to go crazy with these fees. I'm just saying if we don't, there's so much more work that needs to be done before I think we're going to vote on this to say yes or no, but just back of your heads know that we're not the only organization looking at this, and I get community organization, but at the same time, we don't live in that world where everything is free anymore, and there's an abundance of. I mean, even the program for the nurses, which I appreciate, those programs, scoliosis, eyesight, and hearing, those were associated because the nurses had time to do it, and therefore they were already around those kids. That's like now they're a mandated program. So they originated as, hey, they have time and they're around it, just like this. Hey, we have baseball fields to play with, and then now it's a mandated thing, and so there's a cost associated with it, which apparently is being subsidized elsewhere. But my point is that we're going to have this conversation sooner than later, and so just we're going to have the hard conversation, just like most of our financial decisions lately, of whether how much do we need to charge just to cover our cost and still provide a community resource as well. That's all I got.
If I can just add in, I think that's what's beneficial about the way we currently have our policy is it allows for, because if someone, let's just say in this example, someone does want to start charging us, we say, oh, well, okay, let's just do the same thing. Well, you need to recoup what you need to recoup. We need to recoup what we need to, and we just kind of have a reciprocal relationship that way. But whereas if you can have it be mutually beneficial a different way, then that's fine. It just leaves more room for adjustment. So anyway.
So to that point, then and it just came to my head while I was sitting here. Then if we're talking about an organization like that, what's the time frame we're talking? So if we're talking like, we're talking about sports organizations, right? So we know that the season is coming up. Is that not something that can be put through? So can't we have verbiage that's approved to go forward? This is the schedule. And if there's an in-kind, and just like we do an MOU, can't we just have that verbiage in there because it's supposed to be ahead of time to do that? And if not, then that creates a barrier to entry as well in the sense of, well, if you don't have time to plan it in this sense, then it might not be benefit to have it at that place, so, at that building or whatever, that structure. So that's all, just because it would be something that you could, you're planning it. So, I don't know, just a thought.
And
Go ahead.
for me, it's just hard to say, like, I agree with this policy right now. I really want to see the rental free. Is every school going to have a different, like, fees, and who's going to decide that? And
Yeah,
the principals, and it's the building is bigger, so this wells, they're going to have a smaller fee. How are we going to do that? And is that going to be, like, more problems? Is it, we can have this big list of fees in different places?
Yeah.
And they're gonna say, oh, Elko's charging us more. Well, you have to go this place, or Elko's charging less, and we have to charge more, but we're smaller, so who's gonna decide that?
Working with Cassie, our CFO, on the fee structure. So
Gonna be,
we would show it to you and you would approve it, yeah.
But that would be on a district level, not a site level.
No, it would be broken down by the type of facility you're using. Yeah.
The person deciding would be a district like yourself,
Oh, yeah.
not
Yeah, yeah.
each, it's not left up
Correct.
to each principal.
Correct.
Yeah.
If we were to do the new fee structure, yes. Right now, it's a little more willy-nilly than that. It's just kind of collectively decided.
Yeah, I would say, again, just to reiterate, my biggest concern on it is the insurance aspect. If we're already paying for it, we should have it. I can see roadblocks where I'll use again Wendover an example. They do junior jazz at the elementary school.
Yep.
And I would hate to see that get cut because they say they have to pay insurance now. And that's, which I have heard in the past, that's not just someone pulling out of the air. That has been a reason given previously. So I really want to explore that before I can put my stamp on it as well.
I have a quick question, and then I'll rest. I'm so sorry. Teresa, were you going to go? Or? Okay. So my question was just this: is there is there like a Facebook group for NAS that you could like ask, hey guys, what have you guys been doing?
No, we just text each other or send emails to each other and people respond. And,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I would just say, yes, we're kind of reinventing the wheel, right? We're taking all these policies, but at the same time, let's just look around a little bit. I mean, maybe some people have been doing it for whatever, and maybe some people have been doing it how we've done it, you know, our previous policy. So, but
The fee structure we're working on is some sort of a conglomeration of not just ones in Nevada, but ones from around the country. Like, what are people doing in other places in regards to charging fees for usage of buildings? So, yeah, we're doing that.
thank you.
Yep.
Before we get too far, we do have a public comment to read into. You had for 4.03, correct? Where are we at? Would you guys like to hear that, and then we can continue on? Yeah, it might be appropriate.
Okay, this is dated June 16, 2026. Dear Elko County School District Trustees, I wish to submit this letter and commentary on agenda item 4.03 of 16 June 2026 and request that be read into the record. Under the proposed, this is not him, this is me, and I apologize. Under the proposed consolidated policy EBGB on buildings and grounds management under item 7.B, political parties are not explicitly included under nonprofit and community organizations. These were included under the existing policy EBGCC item 1 with the reservation such use be for the purposes of precinct meetings or county conventions. I draw the board's attention to the fact that when the existing policy was adopted 18 June 2024, Nevada Revised Statutes, NRS, had no regulation requiring that public buildings be available for political parties. However, the 83rd Nevada State Legislature 2025 has since added NRS 293.168, which creates a specific shall mandate, NRS 293.168.1, that such public facilities be made available during presidential election years for any purpose and for precinct meetings in non-presidential years. A copy of this statute is included with this letter. In effect, NRS 293.168 mandates statewide what the existing EBGCC includes. The proposed consolidated policy EBGB creates a discrepancy with current state statute by not including reference to political party usage. I would also like to point out that in addition to direct party activities, Elko County political parties, the Elko County Republican Party, the Elko County Democrats, and the Independent American Party of Nevada have hosted joint community events open to the public and shared celebration of Constitution Week in ECSD facilities, as we've already scheduled to do this year on Wednesday, September 16th. To comply with insurance regulations, it is necessary to book such events under a political party. The failure to mention political parties under the nonprofit and community organizations tier for the proposed EBGB also puts such public events at risk, which I do not believe is the intent of the trustees. I propose on behalf of the Elko County Republican Party that the political parties be incorporated into the proposed EBGB policy, item 7.b, for both the direct political activities discussed in statute and for shared community events such as our Constitution Week celebrations. Such an addition would bring EBGB in line with NRS 293.1668 and address the concerns highlighted above, respectively submitted. Dr. Scott A. Gaborski, Chair, Elko County Republican Party. Ms. Baker, I forwarded that to you, and I'll also forward it to the rest of the board since I tried to read it as fast as I could.
Thank you.
Can I just clarify? So it does say other governmental entities. Is a political party not considered a governmental entity?
I think that would be argued it could not be, because a government entity would be part of government, and while it's political, I think that would.
So the contention is just it needs to be named specifically in that category.
Sounds like there might be some NRS backing it up, too.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Mr. Chair, before Trustee Dastrup makes her recommendation or her motion, I would like to jump one more thing in there. I think there is a way for us to cover costs. I think we need to cover costs. That the citizens shouldn't necessarily have to eat the costs of the use for private individuals. But I also believe that there should not, and I also believe there should not be a competitive situation in which Elko County School District buildings are being used at no cost or undercutting other public entities. Specifically, I was on the Convention Visitors Board when the Performing Arts Building was proposed and being built. And if I remember correctly, I believe in a public meeting it was stated that the building would not be used for non-educational and non-district uses. With it now being used for that purpose, obviously the convention center has lost that ability and that revenue. It's a public entity. I don't want two public entities fighting for each other or fighting against each other. That is something that I think needs to be addressed. Going back to my previous statement on what the senior center does, we do also require $1 million policy. And I was reading through while we were here, it does not cover accidental death and dismemberment. We don't have the ability to get that through our current policy. We offer our rentors the ability to purchase $1 million policy for about $75, but it specifically excludes death and dismemberment. So I think that is 2 point. Makes it difficult to be able to get that coverage, and I'd like to see that, if nothing else, we at least locate a source for that coverage, and if it's a reasonable amount, simply put that in whatever rental agreements may be there. But I also would like to see the fee structure, and I'd like to see an exploration of some kind of in-kind compensation language attached to that, because I think that it works really well for us to be able to be community partners and still be able to cover costs. I rest. Thank you.
Trustee Dastrup.
Well, I will state again, I'm just concerned that this is going to kind of come out as a wash. We're not really going to make anything to cover costs because we have so many communities where we have shared facilities that we utilize in order to make programs work for kids and also for the community. So I would recommend that we table this item. Well, let me restate that we postpone this item until we have more information, including a potential fee structure and also possible discussion with other entities where we share facilities, if there will be a reciprocating fee that we would then have to pay, so that we know more about whether or not this is actually going to be functional. I do see part of this policy as being useful, carrying it forward from other policies, but at this time I would recommend that we postpone this policy until we have further information.
I agree. I'm not ready to vote on this policy, but I would like district staff to work as soon as possible on trying to locate a source for the accidental death and dismemberment side of things, because I've heard from multiple others that have said it is a difficult insurance to try to add to. Maybe, I've never looked into it on my own policy, but personally, but that is something that I've heard is creating an issue, which is interesting because I'm arguing for let's let them be rented, but at the same time, let's not compete with the convention center. I get that. I'm a complicated guy.
So board, what I'm hearing here is we want some more information and little rewrites. And so if we choose not to, we can just take no action and bring this back at a further meeting.
Sounds great.
Yes.
Any further comments or anything? If not, I will move on.
I would just comment that it sounds like we don't like it at all, which I'm going to be a pain in the butt and say what we got going is good already, and I don't think I'm just giving you my opinion. I don't think we need to do anything with it. I think we should not charge people in the fashion that I'm proposing today, because I felt like I had to propose this. So if the board would like more information and would like to do something different than what we're already doing, I would request that instead of us vaguely shooting in the dark at different information that might make it agreeable to you, if someone would love to volunteer to be part of writing a policy that seems more in line with what the board maybe was originally hoping to do, or maybe, yeah, so maybe either that, or maybe the more you delve into it, you realize, you know what, we don't need to do anything else, and that's fine. But until we get more information, that's great. Right now, I don't have any more information to give you other than I think we shouldn't do anything. So I would love to postpone this for forever. But yeah, maybe some board support on how you want to move forward would be fine.
Regardless, I would like information on the insurance and whether we're covered as an umbrella policy 24/7, 365, because that's what I imagine a $1.5 million check should cover. And if it doesn't, then we should be looking at that, because that was my understanding, is that we're covered. Our buildings are covered. So anyway. Anything further from the board? All
I
right.
move that we postpone this item indefinitely.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. There's a second. I don't have a second. Motion's going to die. That's all right. We'll move on now to item 4.04. That is the receipt, review, and possible approval of a resolution in support of Invest 2027, which is a document produced by Nevada's 17 school district superintendents outlining what is needed to improve student achievement in Nevada. Mr. Anderson.
Yeah. So we've done this a handful of times since you've been board members, board trustees. This is the newest iteration. This would be the one that is presented going to the next legislative session. This is from a procedural standpoint. The reason that this is an agenda item is NASB, or the Nevada Association of School Superintendents, has requested that every board of trustees across the state endorse this, that they adopt a resolution to endorse this Invest document. So in the past, you've always done that, and so the request is here again for you today. There are two attachments. One is a proposed resolution. The other is the Invest document itself. This Invest document came as a product of lots of workshopping among superintendents, as well as the policy. Some of the bigger districts, our two bigger districts, Washoe and Clark, have folks that help us out from a legal standpoint with policy development. But we've narrowed down to 4 priorities. I'm not going to read every word of this, but as we go into the next legislative session, the 4 main goals that we want to approach are increasing and aligning education funding to ensure that resources match student needs. And some of the issues that we're experiencing with the funding formula as it currently stands are found within those bullet points, including the true-ups, the drastic cuts, the hold harmless, all those provisions. That's not, again, I've said this is not an Elko County problem. This is happening across the state, and that is evident in this document. They would not have put it in there if it was 2 districts who are mismanaging things. It's clearly a problem in all 17 districts, and that's why it is present there. Section 2, or priority number 2, is to refine SB 460. In the last legislative session, SB 460 was a very large 100-and-something page bill that, big focus on school accountability and district accountability. Some good things in there that I think can be positive, but mixed within there were things that are quite burdensome and a challenge. So there are specific recommendations for refining SB 460 to more effectively and positively impact school district operations and student success. And so those bullet points in there talk about that. The third is to strengthen early literacy supports without harmful student retention requirements. This refers to the there again, gone again, back again thing that's been happening in Nevada for the last who knows how many legislative sessions, where in one session we're going to put these retention requirements in read by grade 3, and then a session or 2 sessions later they get repealed when they realize we're going to retain 70% of our 3rd graders, which doesn't make any sense. And then it comes back again 2 or 4 years later, and then it goes away again 2 or 4 years later. So in the last one, it put that back in place to where those retention requirements exist. And so among other things, the recommendation is to repeal that part and leave more local control and administrator discretion to work with families on the read by grade 3 retention, but also putting more emphasis on the science of reading and teacher preparation programs, as well as having retention costs that would inevitably come about because of retention, and just divert those costs now to early literacy supports and put those interventions in place now instead of waiting until they get retained and then putting more money at that area. And then the 4th category or priority is to stabilize, align, and expand pre-K funding structures. I love that the first bullet point of this one is to improve access, starting with students in high-need rural and urban pre-K deserts. We have certain areas of our state, this is a question of equity. There are certain areas of our state where pre-K is abundant and accessible and available, and then you have other places, Elko County is one of those places where there is not a whole lot of pre-K availability. We have some early childhood centers for students with IEPs and special services needs, but not just pre-K for all. And so we would love to be able to see universal pre-K, have that funded by the state, and start to create those, the conditions necessary for having that more widely available for students across Nevada. And those are the 4 main priorities. Obviously, there are many, many more, but we've got funding, we've got accountability, we've got literacy, and we've got pre-K. So those are the 4. And we seek your resolution to support that.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to say I support items 1 through 3 on this. However, we are already in a financial situation in Nevada, and so I am concerned about how we're going to expand pre-K and have more funding suddenly for education when we are already having issues in every district in the state. So I'm not a big fan of pre-K in general, so I will just say that out loud. I think children learn best by playing, not being in a classroom when they're that age. So I'm not a big fan of pre-K, but I do have concerns about where money is going to come from for pre-K funding when we already have other issues we're dealing with. So I totally, wholeheartedly support 1 through 3, but I'm not a big fan of item 4.
If I could just clarify one thing about 4, the intent here, and I don't see it anywhere, is not to require pre-K, but improve access to pre-K. So for someone who did not want to have their child in pre-K, that wouldn't require them to do it. It would just improve that access in places where students have no option for pre-K. But your point about funding is valid if you're having, so that would be part of that, is to also, to fund that as well.
It's another slice of pie.
Need to make the pie bigger.
Retention, I'm completely, so you're saying like there's a requirement to hold them back? Or is there?
There is there is a current, in the last legislative session, I think it was part of 460. If it wasn't part of 460, it was another bill. I apologize if I'm mistaken there. But yeah, they've reinstituted starting on, and I want to say it's not this coming school year, but the next school year, or maybe it's 2 out, that it would be required that if a student did not meet proficiency standards in 3rd grade, and for read by grade 3, that they would be required to be retained, except for, and it listed a few different circumstances in which that would happen. But it removes all the decision-making from your local schools, from the principal, the teacher, the parent, who work together to decide if that's the right thing for their child, and kind of just goes against most research that indicates that retention is not effective.
No, I was just trying to understand it.
Yeah, that's what the retention.
And I have a mixed feeling on it, right? So,
Yep.
And that's fine. I just didn't understand. I was trying to understand. And
Yep.
while I have the mic, Teresa, I fully agree with you. But
I third that.
I think, I'll throw mine in there, that I think the premise of it is great, but the funding issue is exactly where we're at. And we're trying to figure out how to make this pie bigger and who's going to get the piece and where it's all going to go. So, but I think as a whole, it's not a bad thing. It's not something you wouldn't want to do. I believe the quality and equity are important across the state. If it's available in one place, it should be available in another. But I have those same concerns when I look at schools down south and see the kind of education that they're able to get, and as opposed to what we're able to offer our kids. I mean, thank God we're able to offer these GBC classes in person, at least 3 schools in our district, but it'd be nice to get it at all of them. So funding, I think, is a universal problem on all of it. All right, board, how would we like to proceed on this?
Well, can I just add to Josh's question about retention by grade 3? The Nevada Board of Education will be coming up with like a cutoff score. And then what would happen with that are those kids that don't meet that, then there's a whole nother thing to happen where then that kid, they'll have a plan for that kid for the next year. It's
on top of all the other stuff that's going on.
yes.
So
Just
instead of
so
having
you
a
know
direct
that.
thing, yeah, totally. And that's why I say I
Just
don't,
added
I
information.
don't agree. It just
for
muddies
you.
the entire water. Everyone's trying to help, and it's the death by 1,000
And,
cuts.
I mean, I
So,
have, even though I'm part of that,
Yeah.
I have different opinions of, like, when some of them talk about it, it makes sense. But in the long run, as this has mentioned, why aren't we finding those kids earlier than 3rd grade? Because I really believe either a kindergarten teacher or a 1st grade teacher, you kind of know, like, wow, they need some help here. Why aren't we doing it then instead of waiting till they're 3rd grade and then going, well, you didn't pass up to this score, so we're going to keep you so that you can really stand out. I mean, I just think there's better ways to solve that than that.
Earlier
And-
identification, intervention, those
Yeah.
are the ways to do that.
And we need funding for that, so that's available. The pre-K, I understand your points. I do think, since it's not mandatory, that some of our kids really need it because they don't have anyone that plays with them, or like they don't have access to that. So overall, I'm not totally opposed to this plan.
Just because it's a discussion, when you were teaching, what kind of intervention was done prior to? I know you were a couple more grades up, but
Yeah, I was all the way to 6th grade,
Yeah.
so by that point, then they would go to, it wasn't special ed, they just had some reading intervention.
yeah.
They had those types of things. And to retain someone was, I mean, a lot of times parents would say, oh, I want my kid retained. Well, have you thought about
Yeah.
A, B, and C? And it really wasn't someone being retained in 5th and 6th grade I saw retention more in like kindergarten and first grade, and some of it was just, they weren't ready. They weren't, sometimes we're pushing these kids, they're just not ready to learn. They just need a little more time. I mean, I even have family that's, you know, they just needed more time. So
Yeah.
better to do it then than to wait till they're 9. I don't know, that just seems like,
I just wonder how it's gonna work when it kicks in, because right now, that's 65% of our third graders. I'd like to point that out, everyone, only 35% of them can read at a state standard level. So that is a
but that's
huge
not
thing.
necessarily, I don't think the number that the state board is gonna come up with.
It can't be much
necessarily.
better,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because we haven't, that hasn't been a meeting that has happened.
I was just trying to
yet,
see what
but-
we did before and what we're at now, and just kind of, and I didn't know if you had some insight into it too, so. Because I have 3 kids, and 2 of them were, matter of fact, the one, she's already read, she was bragging the other day, she's read like 38 books already this year, and I was like, 38? Are you kidding? And like, they're novels, like, anyway, so she, you know, and my son did all the way up until he became cool, you know, in high school, so, and then it was onesie twosies. But my other daughter, she really struggled, and they caught it. I think we caught it in like first grade or something. We were in Iowa at the time, and they were like, she's behind, and so we just invested in Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
You know, and so read like crazy, and that helped out. And then I don't remember some of them, something tree, I don't know, something tree house.
Yeah.
And so she reads to this day too. So
Magic Treehouse.
Magic Tree House. There you go.
It's a whole community that it takes,
Yeah.
you know, parental support as well.
Now I'll tell you my awful story. I didn't know how to read when I moved to Elko, and I learned how to read first grade in 6 months. And that was a teacher that helped me out there. So, and she intervened, and I was able to do that. And so I think it can be done. I just think we have forgotten, I think we just have forgotten things that we need to reestablish, you know, forgotten
I know
tools
it
that we
can
may
be
not
done.
be. So it's a possibility, but I digress.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I agree with, as I said, I third that. However, I think that one of the things that this country and politically what we've run into is we hold out until we get perfect and perfection, and we're not going to get perfection. 75% of this I agree with, and I'm willing to accept the other 25%. Sometimes I will not accept the other 25%, and we've seen that in this board with me. But at this point, I'm not willing to kill the entire thing off of the pre-K thing. So therefore, I would move to approve the resolution in support of Invest 2027, which is, I'm just going to leave it at that, Invest in 2027.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion passes. All right, on to 4.05, receipt, review, and possible approval or guidance on the 5-year capital improvement plan pursuant to NRS 354.5945.
Thank you. So there are 2 attachments. One is the draft CIP. The other is a lengthier document that goes a little more in depth into each of the projects that are proposed on the CIP. Just a few kind of reminders, ground rule things associated with the CIP. This is an annual thing we do. The CIP is, as it says in the background information, it's necessary for annual presentation to the Elko County Debt Management Commission. They typically meet in early August, and so we try to get this passed prior to our meeting in July if possible, so that we are not pushing there too much with that timeline. Something else important to remember about the CIP is, plan is what the P stands for in CIP. This is a plan, and typically the way this works is, and it's required to be a 5-year CIP. The first year of your CIP is typically feel pretty good about doing those projects during that year. Sometimes they get done so late in that year, they get pushed off to the next year, but those projects, we feel pretty good about, the ones in the 26-27 column about happening next year. And then the other 4 years, those projects those are anticipated to be done in future years based off of what we know to be true now. They are listed in 1 through 20 order of of priority based on need, and also organized in such a way that we, something may be a pretty high priority, but if you don't have the money for it at that time, then it has to be postponed to a little later in the plan. But anyway, there are a lot of things at play here. And additionally, the farther out years, if it's not for next year's project, we don't have like a set number of what that would cost. That is those estimates that you see. So for example, number 15, Spring Creek High School mechanical upgrade, $10.5 million over the course of 2 years. That's assuming we have to do a full-on replacement, everything mechanical upgrade. Obviously, as you get closer to doing such a project, you would do the engineering, you would do an analysis, so it could be a lot less than that, but we try to plan for sort of worst case scenario, but that's not a commitment to necessarily spending that much. We also have it spread out over those years, keeping in mind the amount of money we currently have in the capital improvement account, as well as projecting what we get from the 20-cent levy from the county every year, and assuming that that can be matched to the state fund from AB 495. So there's a bunch of things going on at play there, but those are the projects, those are the order of priority, and what we think we can do with the money that's available to us without spending every dollar we have.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
The completion dates at the bottom of the improvement plan, the 2-page improvement plan, does that match up with the items? Because I noticed there's 20 items, but 19 dates, and some of the dates, it may have just been a formula, 7-1, 7-2, 7-3, 7-4. We are really good with our team right there that they can knock out 4 in 4 days. And some of them seem to be completing before we even started the year. So I didn't know if there was a correlation there.
I think there's a mistake in that section, Matt. That's a good catch, because at one point we did have 19, and then we added something else in there, and I don't think that got reflected. That shifted those things, and so yeah, I think we got a little off probably towards the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing, so 2 more items. I recognize that we have booster support and community support for many of these items, or at least a few of these items. The ranking within the year, is that based on priority? Is that based on any ranking at all? Or is it just yep, this is the first thing that came up? For example, the $150,000 for the West Wendover High School ADA field upgrade. I recognize, and having used the Elko High School Warrior Field and Relay for Life and other things, even the Special Olympics, not the Special Olympics, yes, Special Olympics, but the Senior Olympics as well, that has impacted that. But I would hate to see a priority of $1 million over $150,000 when one is a huge impact to the community, I get, but the other is a legal requirement. And so I just don't want to see that as a priority. If it is priority, I'd love to see that bump up. Not only one, because it's a lesser amount, it's also an ADA requirement. And frankly, I think they've been dealing with this at a longer level. So from an equity standpoint, that may also be an issue. So just thoughts. I don't need a direct answer, but if that is in there, I'd like to see some reorganization. Finally, in reading through the larger document, the 50-page document that was the justification, Spring Creek water tank reline, if there's money that's not used in a year, I'd love to see that moved up. That's a pretty serious thing, having been raised right next to 2 water tanks and knowing that is really important for our community, especially for our community of students. If it's bad, I don't think it's going to get any better in 4 years. So if there's money available, I'd love to see that. And of course, I get that that's a timing issue. There's a number of other things there, but I'd like to see that not be kicked down the road if we could. I yield, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. I also want to mention on 11, I didn't catch that, but that's being funded by the Booster Club, not by the capital improvement. What's that? The $150,000 on the West Wendover ADA upgrade.
No, this would be something different.
it's not, my understanding is what we just raised, the money, that's what I've been talking to you about this last little bit.
They're associated with each other, but different.
There's more to it?
Yep.
Okay.
This would be to,
Are we talking the walkway down from the?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right, that makes more sense. That's good to hear. I think that's awesome that that's on there.
Yeah.
All right. Just the amounts were exactly the same on the estimated
realize
cost of
that.
those projects.
Okay.
The bleacher project that we're currently working on selling bricks, the donation from the city was $75,000. All that total is 150.
50?
Yeah, and we're trying to scrape that last 38.5
Yeah.
until they get the rest of the collection up to get those guys in. So that's where my confusion was. Like, hey, that's this year. All right, anything further?
So appreciate the justification, and I was ready to make a motion, but I'll yield. Go ahead, Ms. Susan.
So I was just curious about, like the grammar in Elko High School cooling being the very last thing that's done. Just curious why that got moved, well, not moved, why it's so far at the end when it's pretty serious and our country isn't getting any cooler.
Yeah, just from from thinking in terms of priority, when you have a school that may have no heating whatsoever, and which would put the school out of usage, then that would take a higher priority, or things that create an unsafe environment. Again, thinking about year one versus year two versus year 3, 4, 5. Year one, pretty set in stone. Years 2 through 5, those will be fluid depending on need, depending on funding availability. So that was actually something that was added pretty late in the game. That was the thing that was added that I was talking with Matt about. So we do want to make that a priority. At this point, we know it's not feasible for this coming school year, and we'll continue to evaluate that as we look at years 2 through 5.
And I think it's been mentioned before. Like, is there a reason why they can't start with even like awnings over the windows or tinting the windows of those that, get the sun all day long? Like, have they looked into anything like, I know they're kind
Just
of
like
temporary
energy,
fixes, but.
Like energy efficiency kind of.
Well,
no, just like putting the
even
film
even having a tinted
bounces it.
window makes it not as hot. Like Elko High, some of those rooms that get that sun all day long, they are hot.
Yeah, it makes a
And
world
we
of
all
difference in
know
my
that,
private
but
business.
Yeah, just getting
Yeah, we did the
tinting
same in
or even
mine.
like a awning that comes out over the window, like, and I don't know costs for that or anything, but even buying a fan for the rooms, like something that gets some air going. So just a thought. So I was just wondering why that was so far out.
And since we're on it too, I'd throw out, would a project like that qualify for, I know we've been looking into some of these companies that do, for example, lighting upgrades that then are more efficient, you save the money over time and they finance it. Would a HVAC system qualify for stuff like that? Is that possibly an avenue we could explore with those vendors?
I don't think so. They're typically more to do with lighting or solar or your types of windows or energy efficiency, and not so much the replacing of infrastructure. We've had a couple conversations with 2 entities in particular, but I've tried broaching the topic of geothermal and of HVACs with them, and that's usually not the.
It's out of their purview.
It gets steered back towards the other things I just mentioned.
All right, anyone have anything else on the?
I just had a question. So is that regularly monitored then for those, are there not requirements for heat as much as there's requirements for cold?
There are maximum and minimum temperatures according to Nevada Health Code. Yeah.
And are those like, I don't know if they have that. I know they didn't when I was there. Do they have a system where they can monitor that stuff? Or like we just have kids walking around with laser temperature gauges or? Like,
Thermostats in our
principals,
classrooms.
the principals, they apparently, they just got all the time in the world, so they can just go into each room and, okay. I was just wondering if there's any more. So if someone thinks that they have, then that just is the usual channeling, up channel through,
Yeah, if they believe something is in a violation of health code, they report it and we check into it.
okay.
Mr. Anderson, I think at one point, and maybe I'm misremembering, we wanted to do something with capital improvement, but because it was on the 5-year capital improvement plan, there was not a lot of flexibility. I know with debt management, that needs to be addressed, but could we, I had said, if there's extra money, let's move Spring Creek up. Can we rearrange this either at the district level or at the board level? Or is this, once this is approved, this is pretty much?
And no, so I'll go back to what I said. This is a plan. There are projects that got done this year that were not on the plan. When Flagview's boilers
I must have just been misremembering.
went out, we did it. What you're probably remembering is that with the money that we want to get matched from the state fund, in order for us to receive a match there, it has to be on our capital improvement plan, and that has to be approved by the county oversight panel. Otherwise, we cannot get that money matched because that's contingent on specific projects. And so we wouldn't be able to utilize that for something that is not on the capital improvement plan.
But it's not contingent on the column. It just has to be there.
I don't know the answer to that. I think the language just says on the capital improvement plan. I don't think it says specified for the current year of the capital improvement plan.
Because I know a lot of these go to need. Like, for example, if Elko's high schools went completely out, that would be something it would move right up.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, move to approve the 5-year capital improvement plan.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just have one that continues to nag at me, and it's relation to this, in relation to AB 519. Have we had legal look at whether another board can have oversight over our capital improvement and our funds as far as the capital? I mean, have we actually had somebody dive in, or just, hey, it was passed, so we're good?
First of all, I appreciate you saying AB 519 because I've been saying AB 495, which is the wrong bill. That's what happens. I leave for a week and
A lot of ABs.
Yeah, for
forgot
sure.
the bill.
But there's only a couple,
AB
tens of
519.
thousands of them.
Right.
So.
I don't know the legality of it, Dr. Byers. I do know that they don't have complete oversight over our entire capital improvement plan, but they do have oversight of the use of funding that they are diverting towards us. And so to that extent, they have a say in how that funding gets used. And
I'm just saying in legality, I mean, they sued to get some of that removed as well, so, and within right. But when I have that conversation, it seems to be faux pas, and I'm just wondering, have we even looked into that at all?
I haven't.
I mean, would it not be, so we don't run under the thumb of another organization? I mean, the district itself is under how many thumbs between the state and other organizations, federal, all the other ones? Why wouldn't we just look at that? I mean, just to see, just to make sure that that's the way it needs to be, then that's fine. But I would think that would be a just cause to make sure that we aren't being, someone doesn't have oversight that should not in a legal capacity.
Look into it.
Thank you.
Anything further, board? All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, and motion passes. All right, right back at you, Mr. Anderson. The superintendent's report is 5.01.
Thank you. Just a few things I'll fill you in on. I missed our last board meeting, and I'm not going to do a full update on why, but I was honored to be selected to go with a small delegation of superintendents from across the U.S. to Israel. And we went to Israel and learned a lot about their education system. We were able to meet with city and country leaders regarding their education system, work with their Ministry of Education, their Ministry of Foreign Affairs, got to visit a bunch of different schools. They have a very unique education system, but a very strong one with significant challenges. I mean, I'm sure any country you go to, they're going to have challenges, but there were definitely some overlaps in some of the challenges they have with how they administer education equitably across, from city to very rural contexts and to the different. They have 4 different streams of education that also make it difficult to do equitably and to meet all their goals and their aims. So that was a wonderful experience to go there, and given the nature of our budget, none of this was paid for by the district. It was subsidized by other entities, and then money out of my own pocket to be able to have the opportunity. So I was grateful to go. Some pretty unique professional development, and so that was a good experience. Trustee Neal asked for an update on how things are going with the doctoral program. The day I left to go to Israel was my last day of class, physically going to class. So I finished my coursework with my doctoral program, and I am now wholly turning my attention to the dissertation. The nature of my dissertation has changed a couple of times over the course of the last 2 years, but in light of a couple of elements of what's going on in our district, both with kind of seeing a need to do a better job of program evaluation and how our resources are being utilized, as well as having the opportunity with Star Academy at Adobe Middle School and just getting a second wave of funding to add another academy. My dissertation is now going to be about doing a program evaluation of Star Academy, which will also, equip me to be able to do program evaluations of any program that we have. So learning about that, and that is what I'll be doing for the next year. We'll be collecting data on the effectiveness of Star Academy and making the most of that investment from the state, and determining to what extent we need or want to keep supporting that program, possibly expanding it to other schools if that possibility exists. So that is where I am right now in that journey. The coursework is done and working on program evaluation. So we have the summer to get that ready, and I'll be working closely with our administrators at Adobe moving forward, and with the help of the folks from NOLA Education and Star Academy. Let's see. Just an update, regrettably, our stairs project, which we thought would be a slam dunk, did not receive any additional bids after the last action you took at the previous board meeting, which has put us now into the next available option to us, and that is to now, given that we've done the bidding process the way it happened the first time, and then what you approved the second time, we can now just contact contractors directly to see who we can get to do that project, and so we can negotiate with them directly. However, I am still operating under the parameters of the previous action, which was as long as it's under that dollar amount, then we can negotiate that with someone and move forward. Should we be unsuccessful in finding anyone that will negotiate that for less than that, then we will see what the next step is.
I got my mixer ready to go.
If your C5 license or whatever number it is, I don't know what it is.
Pen and paper, license.
So that's where we are with the stairs project, unfortunately. I attended my first meeting with the Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education last week. As I mentioned before, I was assigned that responsibility from NASB to take over for Superintendent Young, who is officially retired. And great meeting. I'm not even going to go into too much what happened because it was fire hose for me. But Trustee Dastrup is on that commission as well, and they've been doing great work, and they're getting to the point where they're doing similar to how NASB put their Invest document with recommendations, and So the commission is doing, that's kind of their task as well, but to a much larger extent with more reporting, and they've been meeting a lot about this. So looking forward to working with that commission moving forward. And then we also recently participated in the Superintendents Academy. That is the annual leadership conference for superintendents and their leadership teams across Nevada, with a lot of heavy focus on everything we're doing with the Portrait of a Learner and competency-based learning and helping our students be prepared for the future, as Pillar 1 states. So that was some of those conferences are better than others. This was a pretty good one. And again, pointing to Trustee Dastrup, she was there as representing NASB as a panelist and did a great job of, there were a couple I didn't make a big deal of it, but after you would say something, I was like little mini mic drop, like there goes Teresa speaking on behalf of the rurals and did a great job talking about making sure our students in all corners of our state have access, and not just our students who live closer to the resources. So anyway, that is my update.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Anything from the board?
I just have one question. First, thank you for the update. The other question is, did you check on garbage services?
Oh, yes. We negotiated a lower rate with them, so.
That's great.
Or they negotiated. They didn't want to lose us, so we are paying less for that
Good.
now.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Anderson, if I may, the 2, maybe 3 meetings ago, we had Ms. Perkins from EIAA request in regards to finding a solution for students to make sure that we had a pathway. And I know that there was some discussion back and forth, but I don't remember where that ended. If that needs to come back, if you could circle that back in the next meeting or 2, I'd appreciate it. Okay. Understanding that we're not going to meet for 6-ish weeks, I get it.
Well, we're doing a special meeting in 2 weeks, so I can update then. The short answer is we're still working through that, okay. But we are creating those opportunities for that to happen.
Great, thank you.
It may not be exactly how everyone and a certain individual may want, but we're making sure that those opportunities exist and kids are not forcibly repeating coursework.
Great, thanks.
All right, we'll move on then to item 6.01. It's our NASB update. I don't have anything on right now. Do you, Trustee Neal? Trustee Dastrup?
I'll just say the executive committee got the same thing from NAS as we did in this board meeting and asked for thoughts and recommendations. So NASB is also looking at that from the executive committee. And since I represented NASB at the NAS conference, I know NASB, our focus is always, what are we doing for students? How can we better take care of our students? So I appreciated being able to represent NASB there. And I'm also the NASB representative on the Commission for Innovation and Excellence in Education. So rather than wait, I'll just say, those meetings are going well. We're just looking at, are we going to need to have legislative action? What can we do to improve education in the state of Nevada? And there's a lot of people on that commission that have a lot of ideas, a lot of focus on how can we really bring education up in the state of Nevada. We have amazing things going on, but what can we do better? So I'll just end right there.
Thank you. And that takes us right into 6.02, which is the review, discussion, and possible action regarding the NASB award nominations.
Okay.
And is this our final?
Well, I'd like it to be, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
If there's something, they're not due till August 21st. I'm just an early bird. So if there's something to wait on. Have you all had a chance to look at the spreadsheet of the names?
Thank you for putting this spreadsheet together. I like spreadsheets.
I do too. Not quite as much as you, but I did put in, things that I knew or things that principals had sent to me. So I don't know if that helps you or not. But But, for example, like the media one, we only have one person. So I don't know, do you want to go through and pick names first and then decide who would like to help write up the application?
So Susan, if I can just ask clarifying, the text that's in here, the write-ups that are in here, are those yours, or did that come from someone submitting a nomination? For example, one of them says, proud to submit a nomination for, or honored to nominate.
Here's what I did. Some of them, of the names that I put in, I put a little something. I did reach out to a few principals to ask if they had someone, just because we didn't really have too many in that category. And they sent me, I asked, could you send a little something? I said, it's not up to me to pick someone to nominate. So I said, they may or may not be nominated, but I just wanted you guys to have some background, including myself. I shouldn't speak. I wanted the background too, is like, why are you choosing this person? Because I don't always know the why part. So it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
But they did have the understanding that it's not a for sure.
I'll also add that I went in and added some information, both like personally things that I know that these people have done that have been beneficial for the district and things that people sent me.
Thank you. So maybe, let's see. I thought I put in that. So are there any people that stand out that you're like, yes, we definitely should do so-and-so?
Are we talking about any specific category yet?
In any
Or just
category?
any?
I don't care what category we start with. I did put up there, like I said, media award, we only have the one, but innovative educator, we can only nominate one.
There's quite a few.
There is.
I think the hardest thing in doing this, especially in public, is it seems that we're choosing one over another, and that automatically puts us into a you're not good enough as a staff member. And so I want to just put that blanket statement out that if we weren't limited, then I think it'd be really easy to do all of these. Bless you. With that said, considering that we are a bit rural, I was intrigued by reading the write-up on Ms. Manzanares, and I think that could work really well with a nomination. Going from one school into another community, I think is pretty cool, especially when we start looking at the history of what that was and being able to have that tie in to, frankly, one of the oldest communities that we have in our county. So I'll be willing to put forth that I would recommend a vote in favor of Ms. Manzanares with Spring Creek Elementary School for innovative educator, since that is limited to one.
I like that one too.
And I'm okay with that. Are the rest of you?
I'm okay with that one.
Do we have to vote, Jeff?
I don't think so on this. In fact, I think it's a it is a for possible action. We could, but I think this is an informal process. We should probably keep it that way, just so it's
Okay.
not. It's
No one's opposed
to speak to what Trustee McCarty just said and the formalness of it. I think that, yeah, it shouldn't be a popularity contest coming down to a vote. I think everybody on this list is phenomenal, to tell you the truth. I wish we could send them all.
That's what makes this
It
hard.
does make it tough, but for me, the facts, that the writing's there on that one, and I wouldn't have to ask questions about the other, and it'll help us get this going, because they are all, we could pick any one of these, and they'd be a great candidate, so.
I can write that one up if you guys are
Okay.
okay with that.
And to that note, if we want to just work from left to right, I'm fine with putting Lori Gilbert forward with the
Yeah.
media award.
Sorry, I skipped her because she was the only one.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to do her write-up, or I can do that one too if you want?
I'd love for you to, because the last time I wrote it up, she didn't win, so apparently I'm not a very good writer. I'm definitely not as good of a nominator as she is and the interviewer, so.
Okay, and then friend of K-12 education, we can do as many as we want on this one. I did check with Rick, and so that's why I put those up there.
Yeah.
Because you guys had asked the question, how many can we do? So,
I'll do a write-up on Peppermill, since that's a little close to home, but what they did for the entire district is incredible.
do we want to choose, like, I really think we should also put in the credit union.
Yeah, and Home Depot.
Yeah,
I
mean,
looked at what they did out there,
oh
the
my.
donations they made for Battleborn to build that obstacle course, and it was a lot. And they did it with a smile.
Well, they also helped out
Yeah.
in gyms
And
and all
with,
kinds
yeah,
of
and with
places, so.
the Carlin
Yeah.
playground project, and they, yeah, I mean, it's,
Yeah,
the
Mount
list goes
Valley's
on and
on.
on, so. Yeah, I think everyone on there should get a write-up. We all pick one, but I'll take Peppermill.
I think maybe we just pick those two that were just discussed for this year and then plan on already keeping that list together for next year, because everyone on this list that we've got really contributes frequently to the district, and I
Agree.
appreciate that. So I think we just do two and hold the others over for next year on the list.
Sure, that works.
Sorry, just for the minutes, were you talking about Elko Federal Credit Union or Home Depot being the second? Because we just discussed both.
I think Peppermill and Home Depot were the first two discussed, and so
Yeah.
maybe let's go with those two. That's just my thought.
Is everyone all right with that?
I'm good with that.
Anyone want to take on Home Depot?
You know what, I'll do that one too, because I have some information on that.
Okay. And then school administrator, we can nominate two. I noticed I spelled administrator wrong on there.
I can write one for Jessica Harris.
I think that would be great. Do we want to just stick with one? And like Teresa said, we can keep, because sometimes I'm kind of thinking the more we nominate, then the committee has to choose. Yeah. So let's just stick with Jessica.
I'm gonna have to get on that committee just to see what they're doing.
I can tell you I'm on that committee.
Okay.
Rick they did tweak the applications a little bit, because last year there were several of us that were new to the committee, so we were really like, well, that's not what the application says. And they were like, well, it's like, well, then we need to adjust these. So they were adjusted a little bit, so. Okay, so thank you, Teresa. Individual school board member, we can do as many as we want. I guess we could all
think the
write
list
up our
looks
own
good.
nomination.
But again, I'm gun shy on trying to write anything. I'm terrible at it anyways, and thank you for ChatGPT. But no, I think we're good with having Teresa up there, and same with the next one as well. Veteran is much better than old, so. But I am happy to write something up on either of those or both if need be.
And that's up to you guys what you want to do. I was just looking, I know there was one with the term of service. That's the new school board member, right?
If I recall correctly, yes, and I don't think any of us qualify for that anymore.
Right.
What's that? The new?
Yeah, I
The
think you have to
new and the
be.
veteran, isn't the veteran
Technically,
one
we
too?
do. We're all in, with the exception of Trustee Jastrop, we're all in our first term.
Okay.
So how would you like to proceed?
Now that,
I think Teresa would be our veteran school because you served more than one complete four-year term. You're the
Right.
only one that qualifies for that one. Not saying you are by default, Teresa. You're certainly deserving of it.
I feel skittish going at the new school board member, just because even though we're technically one term, it's been, there might be some
I agree.
Someone more deserving that's in their first or second year.
Yeah.
That would be more.
By the time we get to that conference, it'll be most of
Mm-hmm. Okay, I need to go back.
No, it's right after the conference. Term doesn't start till January 1.
Right. So the individual school board member, we're leaving as Teresa and as the veteran? So it's both?
I'd say if we can add someone else as the individual school board member, let's do that. And I'm okay being the only one by default. That's okay. I'm not offended by that. So, but I think we should put somebody else as individual school.
We could put you in for both and just use the same letter.
Then the nomination
See, we're
committee has to
being
read it
efficient
twice.
now.
It's
That
not
was
fun.
my idea. Thanks, Jeff.
Well, let's come back then, so we
Okay.
can, and we already did superintendent, administrative assistant, governance team, NASB. District level admin. Oh, I guess we should go back to who's gonna write up what. Sorry, I skipped too many. So superintendent, does anyone want to write that one up? I think, Josh, did you do that one time?
I did that one last time, but I
You wanna do it again?
close. Was it nice? You liked it? It was beautiful. It was very elegant, yeah, but not enough to win. So,
Do you wanna just add to
see,
what
sometimes you can
had?
make things that are fantastic and put a lot of hard work in and fell short.
Needs more
So,
commas.
There you go. Yeah.
I think for what the committee looks for is details, because some of them are pretty general, and so then you're looking at, well, okay, isn't that what they do anyway? So it's like those
The
extra
details.
pieces.
Is that what it was?
I wasn't on the committee when they did this one.
Jazz Fest, I don't think you had saying that, yeah. I mean, I had like 1.75 months at blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But anyways, you can reuse it if you want.
But do you want to add a few things to it?
No, he's not done it. No, nothing since, so.
Okay.
I know, do you want me to? Okay, apparently I have homework. Thanks a lot for the homework, Miss Neal. Appreciate it.
So for.
All these years, still assigning homework. Please. I expect it in there.
Okay, so for administrative assistant, we have Hillary. Does anyone want to write hers?
Yeah, I'll write that, and I'll skip one ahead and write yours too.
Oh, that's a lot.
And then I'm tapping out, because that's 4.
Do you want me to switch with you? I can
Nope.
do Hillary's.
We can assign a few of these to Brooke, too.
I was just saying, Brooke's not
She's
here.
not here to defend
She
herself,
should have
so
4
she can
already.
get some to write as well.
Yeah.
We'll give her a couple.
Okay.
We can
Oops.
split yours up and get 2 letters.
And then district level admin, we can nominate up to 2. So we can, Ray, I actually got some information about from someone that wanted to nominate him. So do we want to go with Ray and then keep Emily on the list? Is that okay? Any
Yeah.
opposed? So let's make Brooke
Way to
write
push
that
her
one.
out, Ray.
Okay.
We'll make Brooke
We'll
write
assign
that
Brooke.
one. Mr. Smith?
I think
If you-
Ray
if
would
you
be
would like
great.
to-
It would be wonderful if Ray was the person that we did, especially Ray, if we could put Ray on there. That would be great.
And then the last one, we can also nominate up to 2, a school district employee making a difference. The counselor at Grammar, I asked Sean if he had anyone, and he gave her name, but then I said, well, can you tell us some more of why you nominated her? And that's what I got there.
Does that mean if I take this one, I can use that and I got it written?
Absolutely. But you could also contact Sean some more
Yeah,
too.
I'd be happy to, and my laptop just died, so we're gonna call that good. I'll be happy to write for Ms. Zaug, is it pronounced?
Zog.
Zaug, okay.
So it's Lee Zog. That's how you say that one.
Yeah.
Say again? Lee Zog.
I grew up
Thank
around
you.
a lot of Zogs.
Okay.
Susan, I'm sorry, how many do I have? Just the two? Well, three, I guess.
6.
2 for Teresa and Miss Zog.
Yeah, and you can, I have a write-up I did for Teresa 1 year. You can use part of that too.
Great.
I'll send it to you.
Happy to not reinvent the wheel.
Okay, so
Put me down
Adriana,
for
are there
us
any you
too.
wanted to-
I'll do our team. I'll write a letter from the
Well,
president.
Adriana hasn't done any one either yet.
That's what I was thinking of, somebody making a difference would be.
Someone making a difference. What's that?
Which one is that one?
Well, you may have a personal story there too.
Which one are you talking about,
The
Matt?
very last.
Or Jeff, sorry.
School district and play making difference. Or did we already get 2 on there?
Do you want to do that one, Adriana?
I can do that one.
Okay, Matt, so we'll take you off.
Fine. Just my own.
Okay, so the only one we have left is individual school board member. Or if any of you want to nominate yourself and write something up, you're welcome to do that. Or we'll just leave it as is.
Or you can stew on it and we'll hit it at
Yeah,
the next meeting.
that's
But I
fine.
think we made some great progress here.
That's fine. And Hillary, I'm sure you have all of this down too. But, okay.
All right. Anything
Then I'll
else,
make
Sam?
sure I send the applications one more time to each of you that have a write-up, just to make sure. And I'll contact Brooke too. Tell her her assignment.
Guess what?
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing that, everyone. Appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to 6.03, board member comments and requests for future agenda items. Does anyone have anything?
I do.
I just want to say, we received a lot of comments in regards to hiring practices. Other than this gentleman to my right, we don't hire, and I understand the passion, I understand where that's going. We don't have that say. So we appreciate that you're reaching out, trying to make sure that your voices are heard. But please just make sure that it's going to the right people so that you don't get frustrated when we don't have the results that you're looking for. And with that, happy Independence Day, everyone.
Good. Does anyone else have anything?
I do.
Go ahead.
Just real, I watched a webinar on protecting children from extreme heat in schools. It was sponsored by the National School Board Association, and they were just talking about student learning declines in hotter buildings, playgrounds that, and I'm not saying it necessarily applies to us, just in general. They were talking about playgrounds that have, like Arizona, they have missed, what they say, 3 to 4 weeks of recesses because it's too hot and the equipment is hot. So they, they're trying to do awnings and just things to make it better for them, for the kids to go outside. New York actually has a maximum indoor temperature for schools, and many states have plans for extreme weather, heat included, not just, what do we do when it's super cold, like what do we do when it's super hot? So it was interesting. If you'd like the slideshow from it, send me an email and I can send it to you. And then I do have one thing that I'm going to give Jeff. Washoe County has board policy on committees, along with a committee application, along with just what types of committees they have. And I talked with Dr. Diane, and she said they've spent a long time, like years, and her experience years, kind of fine-tuning it and getting it just the way they want it. So I really think, because we talk a lot about involving our community, I really think it's worth looking at. So I'm passing it on to Jeff so he can decide whether it should be an agenda item or something we should move forward on. So I'm giving you all the information, and then you can decide what we should do with it.
Thank you.
And that's all I have.
Anyone else?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was able to attend two or last graduations, adult ed and Battleborn, and just want to say it's never late, never too late to graduate. Adult ed, we have a, I don't remember her name, but she was 50-something years old, and that's impressive, and just had a great time, and it's always so, it's touching that it's just great to see how we have all this great teachers and great students, and it's never late. That's
I didn't have much to add. I know I'm forgetting something here. Oh, our letter went out to legislators now that the primaries were over. Thank you for getting that out. And we've already got some response back from that. I'll have more to add at another meeting, but I'm happy to say that that may have landed well. So we'll keep on that. Gosh, I know there's something I'm forgetting. I'm just gonna say thank you to everybody, and if I remember it, we'll get it next time.
I apologize. I thought of something. Do you mind?
Go ahead, go right ahead.
So I feel like I need to, you're not charged, sir. I need to say thank you so much. I had the opportunity to speak at the adult ed, and it was fantastic. I think I did a fair job. It was okay. I at least dressed appropriately. It was great. So, but it was a great time, and that one was really rewarding. You know, I mean, it's really rewarding at all of them. Let's not. But you know, a lot of those kids, that was kind of like the last resort, since we continue to give options, and so you know, and a lot of emotion in there. So it was good. And then yeah, I knew one of the students that was graduating, and it was very appreciative of us being up there and being able to do that and making that special. So because those in charge of that one, the Battleborn, the NNVA, we still make it special. We still, you know, the NNVA in here, I mean, was it 4? I think it was 4, right? But we're in here, they've got their cap and gown, and they're coming across, and so we still make it what it should be, which is special. And I do want to give a shout out to EHS. I saw a lot more regalia this year than I've ever seen. And so I hope that spreads throughout the county so that we can make this what it is, which is special. It's a special time. It's a rite of passage for these kids that they've worked hard, and we need to recognize that. So anyways, I thought I should say thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. It's been a while since I've been in front of a crowd. Hopefully I did okay. Yeah, okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We will move now to 7.01. There's the last opportunity, input from the public. Is there any public input? All right, hearing none, we will adjourn. Thank you, everyone. Don't forget, next meeting coming up 2 weeks on Monday, 29th.